This new game on Roblox is incredible, but also very strange. This game allows near infinite customization where you can combine the barrel of an AS Val, the body of an AUG, a fish stock, and a banana grip. This is a great example of what the game allows you to do and come up with the most shocking creations anyone has ever seen. This is Weird Gun Game. Released very recently, this game has quickly become a favorite for many, with its interesting combinations, tons of unlocks, and even special items like the XXL AKM magazine or the banana grip like I mentioned earlier. But let's go ahead and get started with the game and my first monstrosity. Launching into the game, we're greeted with a fairly simple menu with some shop tabs, your main customization tab, and a Roblox shop which I never actually looked at. The game starts you out with an M16 and an AKM, and even though you only get 2 weapons to start, that doesn't stop me from creating something absolutely horrible. So I spent a short amount of time randomizing the parts until I managed to create this. But how well does it work? Well, the game actually manages to keep all of the parts relatively together, in a way where you can add whatever parts from whatever gun you wish, and it's still usable. Each part offers different stats, with some offering extra damage, which will come in handy later on. The gun bodies allow you to change the fire rate, and with the added stats of different weapons, you can create one of the most fast firing and high damaging weapons in the game. However, it all comes at a cost. Each attachment has a price that increases with each one on the list, with some going as low as around 300 coins and as high as 3,000 coins. You can simply earn coins through eliminating enemies and landing shots on them. There's also targets throughout the map that you can shoot to get coins as well. As for my first match in the game, it was working relatively well. The game pretty much forces you into iron sights since there aren't any extra attachments besides the base weapon parts. I could easily see this game including that in the future and allowing people to make truly shocking combinations. The map selection is quite small at the moment, only having 2 from my understanding and in my near hour of playtime. But regardless, the textures, graphics, and lighting are pretty good for a game in its early stages. Definitely beats some of the longer running FPS games that I've played in the past. After all of that though, we end up winning the first match and I came out with just over 1,000 silver coins to spend. So I purchased an AUG stock and an AS Val barrel and created another horrible monstrosity. But looks aren't everything, of course. Let's see how well it performs in a match. We end up in the second of the 2 maps available, and this one is a lot more open but still offers cover, height, and angle spots. In terms of my new build, it was actually working quite well. The recoil was pretty low overall, but the damage was a bit lacking, only doing around 19 to the body and 28 to the head. I found that people mostly flocked to the sides rather than the center, most likely due to the higher angle, which would make sense. It would also turn out that you can climb up to the top of the pyramid on either spawn, offering the highest angle but not really offering a ton of options to shoot at. It was also incredibly easy to shoot an enemy down if they tried to go up there. The movement in this game is relatively smooth, but there are a few things that confuse me that I'll get into more in a bit. The movement feels very arcadey and feels a bit like the movement from games like Bad Business and Recoil, but not as fast. Overall, this map combined with the new build was amazing and I had a blast with those overall, until my water heater broke and nearly flooded my basement and I had to come back to recording the next day. But the next day I had spent my coins on a few more items. I ended up buying a Scar L grip and an AUG core, making my gun look a little bit more understandable and not like an entire abomination. But regardless, the next match took us back to the town map, where I could really show this new weapon off. Once that match was done, I wanted to buy something that gave me more damage, since it felt like my builds weren't really hitting as well as they should have. So I bought a Fedorov Off-to-Mat magazine, which offers an extra 20% damage at the cost of a little less fire rate. The magazine was also a little bit smaller, but that wasn't a big issue. I also swapped my core back to the AKM for a bit more fire rate to counteract the magazine's takeaway. Going into the match with my hopefully more damaging weapon, it was fairly easy to see a difference, going from 19 damage per hit to 30 per hit. However, the recoil did get a little bit more jumpy, but for an extra 11 damage, I would simply deal with it and hope for the best. We of course won that match again and ended up finishing the match with just 660 coins since it was a fairly slow match and I could barely find anybody. So I bought the cheapest thing that was available, an AS Val stock, and swapped the core back to the AUG one to see if it would change anything. I'm not sure what difference was made between my AUG stock and this one, but the difference was insane in terms of recoil control. It felt like I was able to easily control it now and hit super accurate shots. Could have been with the core being different as well, but it was a bit hard to tell what the real reason was. Unfortunately, the damage output ended up being much lower than what it was before, going from 30 per shot down to 21. A bit of a big difference, but with the added recoil control, it felt a lot easier to get a kill regardless of the 9 damage difference. After that match and one more, I managed to create probably the most disgusting looking weapon this game has ever seen, featuring a fish stock, banana grip, AS Val barrel, AUG core, and an STG magazine. This is the Creature. And even though it might look like the most horrific thing you've ever seen, it surprisingly worked better than I ever expected it to. I spent the next 2 games playing with this monstrosity, and here's the best moments from those 2 matches. I'm not sure how it worked, but it did. And out of the near hour that I had spent playing the game, I didn't lose a single match. Overall, this game was a ton of fun, and I can't wait to see where it goes further. But now it's time for 2 segments, and the first one is one that I've never really done before. This is the suggestions section of the video, where I list some of the stuff that I noticed, and some stuff that would be nice to add later on, starting with more weapons and weapon classes. It would be great to have different classes like SMGs, snipers, shotguns, and more to allow for even further customization and weapon builds. Whether you can combine weapons from 2 different classes is outside of my scope of suggestion and would be more of a topic in the comments below, so let me know what you think of this one. More long-range maps. While the 2 maps available are very fun to play, they can get a little too close range at times, especially when it's mainly AR builds that aren't really meant for a close-range battle. It would be nice to have some larger maps with some more long-range angles to change up playstyles even more. Attachments. Besides just the regular components, it would be nice to have things like barrel attachments and scopes to increase the customization and give players a little bit more help when it comes to their accuracy, since some players aren't amazing when it comes to iron sight shooting. Weapon skins. While this isn't something to focus on, and I appreciate the developers taking care of their core concepts and gameplay first, it would be cool to have skins for your weapons in a global skin or weapons as a whole. For example, the entire AS Val set would have a skin you could equip, and each part would have their own individual skin pieces. In the game's current state, and it being brand new, it's certainly something that has a lot of promise and could really revolutionize the FPS genre and Roblox as a whole. These suggestions should simply be suggestions, since my opinion doesn't really have an impact overall, but would be nice additions later on once the developers get the core concepts down to their best forms. But after that, it's time for the pros and cons section. The pros. The customization is amazing and allows for a ton of different weapon builds. Even with the amount of weapons available currently, it still gives you quite a lot of options to use. The weapons feel nice regardless of what attachments you use, and you can easily make some heavy-hitting weapons with the right attachments. The maps are nice and detailed, with different angles and heights to change up people's playstyles and allow them to utilize their weapon builds depending on if they built them for more mid to close range fights using heavy hitting and fast firing attachments while sacrificing recoil and accuracy, or longer range with lower recoil for more accuracy but sacrificing more damage and fast fire rates. The mechanic to earn money is easy to understand, and it's not too difficult to unlock more attachments. You can easily create some crazy builds in just a couple of matches. The Weird Shop has more attachments that I never thought would be in an FPS game, like the banana grip or the fish stock that I had used in the last couple matches. The cons. The movement was a little bit weird at times. After reloading, it would take a second to start sprinting, same with shooting, which made it a little bit difficult to escape a fight if I needed to reload. Same goes for the sliding. Sometimes you'd stop sprinting after sliding, and it would take another shift press to start running again. Might just be a simple fix, and you can't really be too harsh on it since the game is still in its early stages. The game seems to only reward you with gold coins after winning a match, which is only used for the Weird Shop items. So if you aren't super skilled at FPS games or are simply playing it for the first time, it might take a little bit longer to unlock more attachments since you only get silver coins by landing shots and getting kills. You can circumvent it by using the training targets, but I'm sure that someone wouldn't want to spend their time shooting non-moving targets in order to unlock more attachments. It would be nice if there was an added reward of silver coins to each win, like 200 to 300, so even if you didn't perform amazing, you'd still get some reward for playing aside from just the gold coins. Aside from those two cons, the game is incredible and I had a ton of fun playing and making a video on it. I really hope to see this game thrive and improve with each update, hopefully making something that can really change up the FPS genre on Roblox in some way. The near infinite customization at the moment is a ton of fun to mess around with, the gunplay is super fun, and the game as a whole is just a really good game to spend some time in, whether you play on your own or with a couple of your friends. If you have any suggestions of games for me to play, leave them down in the comments below. I'm always reading them, and I'm always open to more games to try and review. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this look into Weird Gun game and you want to see more, leave a like and subscribe. It's a great way to help me out and lets me know if you enjoyed it. Consider becoming a member to support me further and get some perks like a spot at the end member credits at the end of every single one of my videos, emotes to use in comments and live streams, as well as roles and channels in my Discord linked down in the description below. Thanks again for watching, I've been Miko, and I'll catch you in the next video.